Good morning. This is the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Friday, February 14th. Taking a look at precipitation over the past week, you can see quite dry across much of the Great Basin. Just a few moderate amounts of a half inch or more across some of the highest terrain of Idaho and western Wyoming. Percent of normal in the red, you can see a lot of it below 10% and near 0% of normal, so quite dry across the Great Basin. It'll be changing. Of particular note is the past 30 days, and notice how much dryness here in central and southern Nevada, basically 0 to less than 1/10 of an inch in the white and light blue shades, extending into the Arizona Strip as well. You can see the percent of normal, basically 0 to 5% of normal in that dark red. And that is reflected in our 1,000-hour fuels. You can see single-digit values in 1,000-hour fuels, 6 to 10%. We normally don't see values like that until we head into early summer. So it's developing as a quite dry pattern and possibly a drought-type pattern across parts of the southern portions of the Great Basin. Snowfall over the past week has been fairly non-existent, just very light amounts across the highest terrain of Idaho. Snow cover on the map still quite extensive, higher terrain of above 5,000 feet or so across Idaho, western Wyoming, and Utah, still carrying anywhere from 40 to 75 inches of snowpack. Also significant amounts across the mountains of northeastern Nevada. Sierra snowpack, a lot of this was earlier in the winter, but not much has fallen there in the past month. Satellite imagery shows a change in the weather pattern. We're still in a trough of low pressure, a weak trough, but there is more deeper moisture pushing into the Pacific Northwest later today, and this enhanced area of clouds will gradually push into Idaho and then northern Nevada and Utah as we go into later in the weekend into early next week. But under the influence of this trough of low pressure, so we're not under high pressure anymore. Should be pretty good dispersion, both vertically and probably horizontally. So here's the upper level map. See the dryness here in the tannish shades. Our next wave of moisture is still off the Pacific coast. And on the right hand side, overall dispersion or ventilation index in the white or yellow indicates good to excellent overall dispersion. Just a few pockets of inversions here in the purple. You can see transport winds picking up in speed. The green to orange indicates transport winds anywhere from 15 to 25 miles per hour, even gustier amounts over 30. We see areas in the dark red across the Wasatch and Uintas in western Wyoming. Vertical mixing, very good. Light green to yellow indicates at least 2,000 to 3,000 vertical feet above ground level. Now on Saturday, that moisture very quickly blossoms, expands, and pushes inland into at least the northwestern portion of the Great Basin, with that excellent overall dispersion, areas in the white to yellow shades. You can see the transport winds out of the southwest picking up across northern Nevada into parts of Idaho. Still a lack of good transport winds in the south. Vertical mixing looks pretty good. Again, the green to yellow shades indicate 2,000 to over 3,000 feet above ground level in terms of vertical mixing. On Sunday, that storm system pushes further south, the front does, into central Nevada, much of Utah. Good to excellent overall dispersion here on the right-hand side. Some of the limitations here in the purple are just due to cloud cover, but very good transport winds aloft. You can see those strong transport winds here in the orange to purplish shades. Good overall vertical mixing. The Utah Clearing Index, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you see that big improvement, a lot more in the red and orange shades, which indicates excellent overall dispersion as we go through the weekend. There'll be some limitations on Saturday, but today looks pretty good overall in most areas. Now the 3-day precipitation totals from Friday morning through Monday morning indicate moderate amounts of precipitation, second to third shades of blue indicating anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to over an inch. And then it'll probably translate into 8 to 14 inches of snowfall across the higher terrain where we see that blue. Slightly lesser amounts, but still significant across the rubies of northern Nevada, but not much again further south. The dryness continues in those areas. As we go into Monday, we're missing computer model projections of our dispersion, but looking at the upper level map here under the trough of low pressure, good vertical mixing and good horizontal wind flow out of the northwest and west. So lingering precipitation across the eastern portion of the Great Basin and northern areas on Monday. Dryness pulls in on Tuesday, but again, we're high pressure's off the coast. We are still under the influence of low pressure, so it should be good overall mixing, especially in areas that get sunshine, which will be most of the areas on Tuesday. And then kind of an interesting pattern, a large-scale ridge, but under the influence of a dry trough of low pressure over off the Southern California coast. So probably still good overall mixing, at least in the southern half of the Great Basin. And then on Thursday, this low pulls in some moisture. It could see some precipitation where we see the areas in the green through here, drier to the north. The best dispersion probably being across parts of Nevada and Utah, at least under the influence of this trough. And precipitation, this will be days 4 and 5, Monday evening through Wednesday evening. Nothing for the Great Basin expected at that time. The 8 to 14, the outlook, cooler than normal temperatures for the most part, but also a strong, drier than normal signal. And again, this will keep areas in the south extremely dry. They've been dry for quite some time. We'll have to watch and see if this continues through the rest of the winter and into fire season. This concludes our briefing. We'll be off on Monday, so our next smoke dispersion briefing will be the following Wednesday. Have a great day.